to the New Orleans Jazz Museum. My name is Saskia, and I'm an intern representing the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park that today is sponsoring this wonderful event that we have every Thursday, or every other Thursday, hosted by Fred Kasten, who is a radio show host for Jazz New Orleans at WWNO on Friday nights. And this show is going to be Friday night broadcast on that radio station. And he can explain more about what the show is all about, but it's interviewing local legends. And today we have a local legend, none other than Mr. Donald Harrison. So please join me in welcoming Fred Kasten and Donald Harrison. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for Talkin Jazz with Fred Kasten, that's me, in concert. And our special guest here today with a terrific ensemble is an artist who has, across multiple disciplines, been impressive for decades here in New Orleans, and who I got to understand a little musically beginning in the 80s with his hookup with Terrence Blanchard, and have subsequently had a chance to witness doing all kind of great work, as I say, across multiple disciplines. The great Mr. Donald Harrison, Jr., ladies and gentlemen. And his wonderful ensemble, and they are going to play something, a couple of tunes, maybe 10 minutes worth of music to kick us off here.
Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, over there on the drums and cymbals, Thomas Glass. On the bass, all the way from Brussels, Belgium, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Weaver. He's from New Orleans, but he lives there now. And our special guest at the alto saxophone, Mr. Donald Harrison. Mr. Harrison?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, welcome to our setting here, and let's talk a little bit about growing up. Where did you grow up?
I started in Tremé area as a little kid, and then as an older little kid, moved to the upper Ninth Ward at about 6 years old, and then went to Southern University, then Berkeley, then New York City, and ultimately, mostly back here in New Orleans.
Well, as you were growing up first in Tremé, did you get started with music while you were still living there, or when did you get started with music, Donald?
Oh, I got started with music when around 16 years old. But there's a sidebar to that. My father was passing Werlein's music one morning, and I hadn't asked him for a saxophone, but he was a music enthusiast. So he looked at the saxophone and he decided that I should play it without telling me. So he purchased the saxophone for me, and it must have been the right revelation. But initially I was not thinking of playing saxophone because I love the water, so I wanted to be a marine biologist of all things. But I played it a little bit in elementary school and then stuck it in the closet for a long time, till Grover Washington made a great song called Mr. Magic. And that's when I realized, I remembered, I had a saxophone. And I learned Mr. Magic without really remembering the fingerings or anything fairly quickly. And the next thing I knew, I was working in a little garage band, so having a few gigs. And it turned into working with brass bands, and I'm here today because of it.
I remember we talked about one time after you got Mr. Magic under your fingers, you went to your dad and said, look, I got Grover Washington's Mr. Magic, played it for him. He said, that's good, but how about getting this for me? And then he introduced a fellow named Charlie Parker.
Yeah, well, I knew about Charlie Parker, but I'd never practiced his music. And I didn't have an easy time learning Charlie Parker's music. So
you and the rest of us.
You and the rest of it. It's a lifetime study, actually. One solo is a lifetime study. There's so much information in there. But I went on a quest to find out everything I could about Charlie Parker, because it touched my heart, what he did in so many ways. Well, one remarkable thing that he said with 2 sentences that sort of summed up everything you need to know about what it is to be a musician at your highest level. One of the things that he said that will give you peace of heart is, peace of mind, is if you don't live it, it won't come out of your horn. Classic statement. You can't tell a story that you don't understand, basically, with music. And the other was, they teach you there's a boundary line to art, but there is none. So when I was in high school and read that, I decided then to go play with every era of jazz musicians that I could, and it turned into me playing with all kinds of other types of musicians because I wanted to have lived it. So when I try to speak it, I will at least have the experience of it coming out of my horn in an honest way. So I was successful in playing with every era of jazz musicians, that quest. But it took a lot of work because I played with a group called the Dukesmen, which were a small amount of members who played with Duke Ellington. And I took Johnny Hodges in that band. Johnny Hodges' place, who was the main saxophonist, in Duke Ellington's band for many years. But if I had not been practicing Johnny Hodges' music and trying to learn how to play like Johnny Hodges, they would have never considered me. So the first part with all of those bands that I played with was to really try to decipher what they're doing. Today I was listening to Herbie Hancock's solo on a great song called Actual Proof, and found a lot of revelations in the way he's approaching line and harmony. But if I don't sit down and really study what those guys are doing, so that if they do consider me to play with them, I'm halfway there from the beginning. Maybe not halfway, a quarter, I don't know, whatever they consider. But they all, they choose you because they hear promise that you have done some homework and you have respect for them. So they can tell that. And I think that's why I was given so many opportunities, because I respected the artists before I knew that I was going to play with them. I was practicing Johnny Hodges in the dressing room, and somebody told them, there's a kid who plays like Johnny Hodges. And the next thing I know, I was taking his place in the Dukesman. So I'm always having pinch myself moments. And I think it's because of due diligence.
Diligence is a quality that has many rewards. Well, when you first got the horn out of the closet after it had been sitting there for some years, and you learned to play Mr. Magic, did you go get some lessons or start studying with someone?
No, I was self-taught at that point. But then I was fortunate. I think my two main teachers who showed me something about the saxophone in Louisiana are Kid Jordan first, and then Alvin Batiste at Southern University.
Right.
Those two guys. So I sort of started at the top of the hill.
Two of the greatest educators in the history of jazz.
I mean, I was like, more pinch. At the time, I didn't realize I realized how fortunate I was, but the older I get, I really realize how fortunate that my first two teachers on saxophone were Kid Jordan and Alvin Batiste, and they both were be original kind of guys. Tell your story, and then Alvin Batiste was a traditionalist and who had a tinge of the avant-garde and world music, and Kid Jordan was the avant-garde artist. So he would tell me outlandish things, which I didn't know were outlandish. That really kind of impossible things to do. So he had me doing some things that I know now. He was like, "What you gonna do when you have to play a 5-octave lead?" I was like, "I gotta play a 5-octave lead." So I went and practiced it. And at one point I was able to do it. But they put me on impossible quests that I didn't know that you couldn't do it, so I thank them for helping me to do those things.
They had met as teenagers, both at Southern, going early.
Yeah.
And ended up marrying sisters. So.
That's right. And they were very close, and I now am the director of the camp they started, the Louis Armstrong Summer Camp. So.
Well, that was a wonderful show that you put on at Jazz Fest with the camp veterans. And
yeah, it's incredible. We're focused on helping young people understand what it takes to have the skills to work in the music business, in many kinds of music, but ultimately to find themselves in the music. Mm-hmm. I always say, if you know something, you can choose not to do it. But if you want to do it and you don't know it, then you can't choose to do it. So we try to give them an understanding of everything. And then they go about their business, and we look at them on TV, and and we're proud.
atmosphere in your home where you grew up was encouraging that. It was a cultural and intellectually stimulating atmosphere. A lot of books, a lot of opportunity to experience music and a wide range of cultural affairs.
Yeah, when I was in, started elementary school, the youngsters at school, they would, that was in the 60s, they were digging James Brown and Michael Jackson. But I was digging James Brown and Michael Jackson and Charlie Parker and the UNESCO series from African music and music from India and Shostakovich and just all kind of different styles of music, because my parents played everything from Valley High to Cooley High. So I didn't know, and I was like, they were like, yeah, James Brown, I got that feeling. I was like, Charlie Parker, now's the time. They were like, who? But some of my friends, you know, I was able to tell them about other styles of music. But it came because my parents were in the culture and, you know, and taught us a lot about humanity and that everything is important, and that all things, the work of human beings all over the world is important, and they are, and everything should be respected. That not to, basically, I guess, not to have an elitist idea, but a human perspective.
I remember you telling me that I think you had a set of Britannica encyclopedias, and you kind of just set yourself a task of reading through those.
I just remember that when, you know, if anybody was around in the 60s, maybe the 50s, but I wasn't there was always this idea, if you get an encyclopedia, it was an exciting thing during those times to have a set of encyclopedias. So it was no different in my household. When the set of encyclopedias came, we were all anticipating, oh, encyclopedias are here, because my parents talked about it. So I figured I was supposed to read all of it. So I did. And it opened up the universe, you know, from looking at cirrus clouds and, you know, amphibians and all kind of things. Just
so you had you were widely encouraged to get as much information about it, things you're interested in, as possible.
Right.
And then pursue them accordingly.
Yeah, well, you know, just find out who you want to be and go do it. I think two of the most important lessons, my father, even as a child, if you showed him something and you proved your point, he didn't mind being wrong. It wasn't, his ego didn't mind that. So I don't have a problem about being wrong now. You know, if you say, no, you're wrong, you show me, I was like, you're right, because a lot of times human beings fight you when they're wrong. They want to prove themselves right. But one of the things I tell my students, if you know you don't know something, then you have the opportunity to know it. But if you fight and try to prove that you know something that you don't know, you don't have the opportunity to figure it out, because you're shutting yourself down from your growth. And the other thing is, when we had a problem, they would say things like, everybody's got problems, and everybody knows the problems. Well, you got to be the person who has a solution. So they set us on a path for finding solutions.
Finding the answers.
Yeah, finding the answers through reflection and trying to understand. So I think those two things have helped me enormously.
We'll talk some in a little while about leaving New Orleans, going on to Southern Berkeley and then New York. But for now, let's have some more music.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
That's Thomas Glass on the drums and cymbals, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Weaver at the bass, Donald Harrison with the saxophone work. You were at NOCA, right, Mr. Harrison?
Yeah, I went to NOCA in high school, a couple of years at NOCA.
Mm-hmm. Who was leading the program there then?
That was Alice Marcellus over there.
Yeah. And who were some of your classmates at NOCA at that time?
I think it was the Marcellus brothers. Chris Severn was there. Kent Jordan was there. Moses Hogan. Jeffrey Harrison, French horn player. Those were some of the names I remember.
Yeah.
But a lot more students.
Right. After finishing high school, did you go to Southern directly, or how did that work out?
Yeah, I went to Southern for a year under Alvin Batiste. I was passed from Kid Jordan to Alvin Batiste. So
the brothers-in-law passed among
the brothers-in-law.
Yeah. And a year at Southern and then to Berkeley, Donald?
Yeah, I forgot. I had a great teacher at Berkeley. Well, Bill Pierce was one of my teachers who was
The saxophonist?
Yeah. But I can't think of he was a stalwart, but Bill Pierce was playing with Art Blakey when he was my teacher, so I was lucky. And he was the one who introduced me to Art Blakey. But I was already playing with Roy Haynes. I joined Roy Haynes at 19 before I went with Art Blakey.
Did you meet him in Boston?
I met Roy Haynes because they were doing a jam session, but it was a jam session, but it also had Roy Haynes band was playing, so they would play a jam session and Roy Haynes band would play, and would play a jam session again. So Roy was listening to me, and he called me, and he said, "Oh, you've been born again." I never asked him what he meant by that, but I think because I love Charlie Parker so much, he heard that in my playing, and then he hired me. And I spent 15 years picking his brain about everything that Charlie Parker taught him.
And what a brain that is to pick.
Yeah, he really, and then he introduced me to the rest of the beboppers, and I became what they called me, a bebop, one of the bebop brothers.
Oh, cool.
I remember when they told me, I was so overcome because I love bebop so much. I guess I may have been about to cry, I don't know. They said, "Don't you go crying on us." But I was overcome with joy, really, that they considered me their bebop brother.
Yeah.
Because they don't tell a lot of people that.
That club doesn't get many invitations to join.
They always said I had the right attitude. Because I loved it so much.
Yeah. You played with Jack McDuff for a minute too, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a soul man right there. We played in Harlem a lot, but we also toured because when I was with Jack, he had a big hit on urban radio. So it was a lot of fun to have to play with somebody who had a current hit when I was like 20 years old and go on the road. And he would play jazz clubs, but he also would play discos. And so after we played, then it would be like the disco would come back. It was interesting. So I was with young people, mostly my age, some of them a little older, as well as a jazz audience. It was a mixture of people. It was. I thought that was going to be a normal thing, that everybody was listening to the music together. But it was only a brief period, like a year I spent with him.
After you got introduced to Mr. Blakey, how long before you started working with him?
Well, I sat in with him, but he told me that night, one day I would be a jazz messenger. And I was like, sure, right? But ultimately, it did happen. I remember Roy Haynes telling me I was going to be joining Art Blakey before it even happened. He said, "You're going to be playing with my brother." I was like, "I am?" I didn't know who his brother was, but I quickly found out. And from an experience one night where they both were telling each other they considered the other to be the greatest drummer in the world for hours, I realized how much they really loved each other and the respect they had for each other. I believe from that experience that Art Blakey was Roy Haynes' favorite drummer, and Roy Haynes was Art Blakey's favorite drummer. And whenever Art Blakey did concerts, he would always, it was a special occasion, he would always invite Roy Haynes to play on his concerts. So that those things sort of have cemented those ideas in my head.
I always love that story about Art Blakey, that the band was going somewhere, maybe from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh overnight after they played a gig to set up, play another gig, and they're about early the next morning, they're still on the road, and everybody needs some relief. They're in the country, and they see they see cars parked as a cemetery, and there's a funeral going on, but they park a little further down. Everybody does their business, but then they can't find Art after everybody gets back to the car. And they finally look over and they see that he's addressing the crowd at the funeral. And apparently what he said was, he went over and they got to the point of the service. They invited anyone who wanted to say something about the deceased to step forward. Nobody did, so Art said, "Well, if nobody'd like to say anything about the deceased, I'd like to say a word or two about jazz."
That sounds about right. He was a tireless advocate,
yeah,
and as you know, helped so many young musicians find their voices.
And that was a great talent of his, was picking the people who had that potential, and he gave you a chance to write for the band when you're in it, right?
Oh yeah, he forced us to write.
You, not just a chance.
Yeah, you had to write and compose music while. So we're very thankful that he had the foresight to bring out that part of many musicians who were in this band. I even took his place playing drums, because I love drums so much that Art Blakey taught me what he was doing on the drums. And then every once in a while, he would miss a few gigs at the beginning of a tour, and I got to be Art Blakey. I played the drums, and one of the saddest occasions now is the fact that an Italian magazine had me on the cover, Donald Harrison and the Jazz Messengers, and I didn't go buy every copy I could, and I don't have a copy of it. That was in the early 80s. But I was the drummer in Art Blakey's band, and that's now that I think about it, that's so incredible.
Yeah, wow. Well, you've always been a rhythmically driven or interested person.
Yeah, I think it's because the culture here is syncopation. Everything is big. I think it was James Brown who said, "Music is a drum." You listen to his music, there's so many rhythms going through it, and that makes it what it is.
And you talk all the time about dance, how that's central to your concepts of music and what it can deliver.
I think it's an essential element. Think of everything as 360 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an intellectual aspect and a physical aspect, which dance would be a part of that, and a soulful aspect to it,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual aspect. So when you look at everything in totality, I try to make sure that, especially what was born here in New Orleans, that was a 360 experience, 360-degree experience, that it continues. You know, there's some people who base their work in music on the algorithms of computers, and that's fine. And there's some people who inspired by birds. There's a lot of different ideas that are floating around. But I like to go back to this circle that has as much inside of it as I can put inside of it in my little lifetime.
Mm-hmm. We'll put some music inside this room here. Another couple of tunes. What do you say, guys?
Sounds good. We're gonna play something for you that's from our new concept dealing with quantum physics of all things. I got into playing and writing music that uses quantum physics and quantum theory to produce musical sounds on a recording called Quantum Leap. And then I started working with actual published quantum physicists, and the main one being Stefan Alexander. And we found a lot of things. But one of the things we discussed was the idea of multiverses that comes from string theory. And that I had an analogy in my head that like bass players doing that. No. You're all right, man, I'm just messing with you. That music, you know, with multiverses, the concept is that if they do exist, each one would have the same macro entities or quantum entities. And I realized that music, all music has the same elements because it has all music has rhythm, it has melody, all music has the understanding of the people who are producing the music, and all music has harmony. So all the elements, to get you to understand what I'm saying, I explain it like this. If you take a chicken and you bring it to Jamaica, and you bring it to China, and you bring it to New Orleans, and you bring it to Brazil, and you ask a chef to cook it, it's going to be the same chicken, but in China it's going to be Chinese food. In Jamaica it's going to be jerk chicken. In New Orleans it's going to be chicken etouffee. And in France it's going to be coq au vin. But it's the same chicken, right? But it just has a different flavor. And then because I play so many styles of music, I said to myself, oh, this is what I'm doing with music. I'm living in all of these different styles of music. So let me make a recording that has a multi-genre recording that has the same song in different styles of music. So we, actually he started helping me on that. That was a record we did called 3D, which is 3 different styles of music, but each recording is 3. But recently we were able to complete something called The Magic Touches, which is 1 song in 9 different genres. 8 different genres, and then a revelation with Nouveau Swing. The 9th version of the song mixes the first 8 versions into a jazz style. So it has all of these, you can hear all the inferences from all the other styles come up inside of it. But we worked on another composition called The Art of Passion, and it's 3 different styles of music. One is what is based off trap hip hop, but it's more soulful than trap hip hop. And then we did a straight ahead version, hard swinging version, and then the one in the middle merges the trap hip hop with swinging jazz. So you get three different looks at it, and we're fortunate that each style of music is getting played on the various styles radio stations that fit the format. And another offshoot thing that came out of it is, if you like the hip hop version, you're going to hit a straight ahead version. You're going to hit the reggae version. You're going to hit a soul version. And you're going to hit these other versions. So it opens up the palette of the listener. So we have all of these residual effects. And the last effect is I have a lot of fun playing it, and the audiences seem to love it. So we're going to do 2 versions of the Art of Passion. And you're going to hear how we are moving the same sounds into a larger picture for music, instead of when you get a song, it's just this sound. Now a song. When we start composing, we're looking at, it can be like this, how to configure for the universe. Let's start with this straight ahead. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. That was the straight ahead version. Now we're gonna play the soulful trap hip hop version. Hey, all right, all right. Here we go, check it.
trap hip-hop version and the straight-ahead versions, ladies and gentlemen, of The Art of Passion, two of the three versions on that EP, which is available through
right.
DonaldHarrison.com.
And this is, I think, the birth of a new movement. So you're witnessing multi-genre music. And I'd like to introduce the producer of the last song. He actually, we co-produced it, but he's produced some of the biggest hits in the modern world, songs that have billions of streams.
Yeah.
His name is Diesel. He's from New Orleans, so we're lucky to have him on board.
Who's this on piano?
Oh yeah, we have, he's 19, former student. Now he's doing a lot of things. I can't keep up with him. I don't know if he can keep up with himself. He's everywhere. But put your hands, that's Cam Jordan over there. Not Cam Jordan, Cameron Watson. Not the football player. Yeah.
Say, man, he didn't have that good a year last
But
year.
he did film the Cam.
Now, this Cam had a good year.
Yeah, this is Cam, yeah. He's still doing his thing.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, man. The three versions on that. There are 9 versions on the Magic Touch of one tune,
Right.
blues, reggae, a trap hip hop, a straight ahead, a nouveau swing.
Wow. Go ahead. He's 411. Yeah, that's right, man. I can't remember all of them, so I got to give you a round of applause for that.
Somebody has to keep up with this stuff.
Somebody's got to remember. Yeah, we have. There was a salsa version.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that. I thought that was one of my favorite ones.
Oh, yeah. You have to go check it out. It's not available yet, but it's on YouTube. You can hear like 1-minute snippets of each version.
Yeah,
And
or on your website, I think.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have
it's on my
the
website, too.
Same thing, also.
But when you hear them, it's a journey, but they all make sense together. Just like you would never think trap hip hop would go with a hard swinging song like, but when you hear them back together, you back to back, you realize they're part of the same family.
Yeah, and it's just vocabulary to be put into a form of expression. And the more vocabulary you have, the more things you can tell.
What he said.
Yeah, write that down. How did you Did you find him through his book, or how did you come on to Stefan Alexander? His book, he's got several maybe, but The Jazz of Physics
Yeah.
is one of them.
Actually, I'm in the Jazz of Physics. I think I have a whole chapter in there. But Stefan Alexander is I always remind people of this, the published quantum theorist.
Right.
Because published means that they have shared their ideas with the other scientists, and the other scientists get to pick them apart. So there's a lot of people out there saying they're quantum physicists, but they're not published, so be careful. Always look that up. But anyway, I'm not going to say who, but I'll just say that. So now if you do some research, you'll know who those people are. Anyway, I'm not published, so I wanted to make sure that my ideas had some value to them. And so I was searching for someone, and I found Stefan Alexander, and he says he found me, and he was already checking me out. So it was the perfect marriage of a scientist. He also is a saxophonist and a musician who was using his work and the work of others to find new ways of looking at music. What's scary about my relationship with him is sometimes we think of ideas simultaneously, and that I don't know how that happens. And maybe it's I can't even think there's a scientific principle for that. I'm getting older. Quantum, thank you so much. maybe we're entangled sometimes, and we like this because we've had revelations. We found just recently we found four-dimensional harmony. You know, talking about what we were talking about, quantum theory, and it led me to Ford. I was already working and didn't even realize, but when he talks to me, then I was like, boom, we just got this, man. So we're working that out right now, but it's a real thing. How do songs that use quantum space-time, songs that use concepts that use how electrons and waves move and different quantum particles. So it's really, we've opened up a Pandora's box that is a beautiful Pandora's box with infinite possibilities, just like the universe. We're taking ideas that are already here and expanding them to all points.
I love that Stefan had a band named God Particle.
I love Stefan.
We may have sold a few copies of The Jazz of Physics here today.
Yeah, you know, I'm noticing more and more articles about this topic now.
Yeah.
So once someone comes up with an idea, then other people start seeing.
Well, one of the ways you started putting this together, or one of the times, I guess, if we could point to it, is with the Nouveau Swing record in, was it 96 or 7, somewhere in there?
Oh yeah, the Nouveau Swing was really. I hadn't gotten to this yet, but
You were on the path.
yeah, it was late. That without that record, I wouldn't have been able to think like I'm thinking now. But on that record, I mixed straight ahead music with modern dance music. You know, stuff that I was hearing on the radio, because I loved all of the music. But how that really happened, this is, I got so many sidebar stories. I was with a guy named Creed Taylor, who, you know, one of the great producers and great record men. He started the bossa nova crave in America and so many things in music. But he had a label called CTI, and he was revising that label. And I was in Brazil with Billy Cobham and Larry Coryell and a bunch of Brazilian greats. We were making recordings. And Creed asked, do you want to make a record on CTI? I was like, I'd love to. He said, we're going to do a smooth jazz record, which was really popular at that time in the 90s. And I said, okay, I'll do a smooth jazz record, but we have to do a straight ahead record too. But then when I started telling the straight ahead jazz artists, they started calling me a sellout. I was like, man, that hurts. But so I was thinking about not doing the record until I talked to Art Blakey. And Art Blakey said, no, you have to pursue your talents, because you're never going to find out who you are if you don't pursue the things that are natural to you. So I went on and did the record, and it became a huge hit. And it was on urban radio. Remember the KISS network, and all of smooth jazz was getting like 10,000 spins a week on all the radio stations, which is it's kind of unheard of even right now, because I was on so many different stuff. It's called The Power of Cool. That record is called The Power of Cool. But anyway, the irony of of all of this is the guys who were telling me that I was a sellout were asking me could I help them enter into the smooth jazz world. So it taught me to really follow your heart and not to listen. And Art Blakey and sort of Miles Davis too taught me to to be true to yourself. That's the only way you're going to find out who you are. And then after I did the smooth jazz record, then I heard how to put the dance music and the classic jazz together. So then I signed with Tommy LaPuma over at Impulse Record, and we did a recording called Nouveau Swing, and that was one of the first records that they said got it right about how to mix jazz with modern dance music. And that recording stayed on radio for 2 years, which the label I couldn't believe it either, because it spoke to I guess the tenor of the times. My parents' idea of finding a solution. I had found a solution with music, and it became thought of as a classic. And it's just because following your path and doing what you feel in your heart sometimes manifests in a great way. And then the younger musicians who wanted to play jazz, some of them at the top of the game right now, they were listening to those records unbeknownst to me, and they found their voice inside of it. So you never know. That's why I always say, I'm going to show you what I know, but you do what you want to do with it. I'm never going to tell them what to do.
I heard, I told another interviewer, you had a motto, do your best and then go sit down.
Oh yeah, that is my motto. My motto, you're right, is do the best I can do. Well, sometimes I say, get out of the way, but go sit down is great too. I say that too.
Go ahead. I'll give you that one.
All right.
Yeah. So that was, you were living back in New Orleans when you made that, right?
Nouveau Swing, I was still in New York.
Still in New York.
And then we made a follow-up record called Free to Be. And the next thing I worked on was a 3D record with Diesel. Yeah. And then I worked on Quantum Leap, with the first record where I started playing and using ideas from quantum theory.
So you've kind of just been following that direction over a decade now.
Yeah, from 2008 to now. But we also have something that you heard, Fred, another multi-genre record that also incorporates classical music, called Congo Square. The first movement is what I call an Afro-New Orleans chant. Second movement is the Moscow Symphony, playing a classical idea of my experiences becoming a big chief. And the third movement is the jazz band and the symphony playing together through the prism of the offshoot music of Congo Square.
Yeah, the Moscow Symphony plays on that. And you've also performed with Chicago, with LPO here in New Orleans?
Yeah, we also have a classical side of what we do, and we've premiered works all over the world, but also with the LPO, which I'm very happy that happened. And hopefully we'll get some commissions where I can sit at home and write out some of these ideas that are percolating inside of me.
Yeah, that piece is almost 20-minute piece, the Congo Square Suite. So that's a substantial set of orchestrations to produce.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a lot of notes for an orchestral piece, but fortunately, bebop showed me a lot about how to change lines and how to put order to music. So I think I'd have to thank all the great classical composers, but also Charlie Parker for helping me to see how to facilitate that. I think you should, if you love classical music, you should take a listen to it. One of the things that made me very happy was the Moscow Symphony Orchestra actually gave me an ovation after they played the piece, and the conductor said, "May I study your piece? May I take the copy of it?" And he studied it, and he told other people of the work that we were doing. So that's like a really great compliment.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
From the people playing the music.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of playing the music, lay some more on us. What do you say?
All right.
We got these full forces assembled here now. Let's turn them loose.
What y'all feel like, man? You want to play the New Orleans thing? Hey, Pocket, where you at? We're going to take you to New Orleans right now. Hey, come on. It's all right to clap your hands, y'all. Check me one time. Sometimes we party too, y'all. I say clap your hands just like this. Clap your hands just like this. See, little bitty boy got a heart of steel. He can't bug in a heart. This is your will. Feel good music, I guess. Good for your body, good for your soul. Let me hear you say, hey, 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 pop your way. Hey, 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 pop your way.
Hey, Pocky Way, the Donald Harrison Multiverse Quintet, ladies and gentlemen. You have arrived in New Orleans. Donald, I wanted to talk with you just quickly about, we've got enough time for, I think, a little chat and one more tune, maybe. The Tipitina's intern program that you started, was a post-Katrina concern that has really done remarkable. Millions of dollars in scholarships have been received by students passing through that. Let's talk, how did that get started?
Yeah, well, there was, actually, I think he's managing Trombone Shorty now. Bill Taylor had approached me about what I thought was important to do after Katrina struck the city. And I said, I think what I can contribute is passing down information that I have gleaned over the years from all the great musicians who have shared their ideas with me. So we decided to put a program together where our goal was when they left at 17 to 18 that they would be professional musicians. And they would also have an understanding of what it takes to be successful matriculating in schools of higher education, college, basically. And so we began that task. And then our students started playing while in high school, you know, getting professional engagements. And many of them attained full scholarships to the prestigious music schools and even schools like LSU and USC, places all over the country. They actually started looking for our students, calling me. And I was like, well, you guys, there's no more for this year, but we'll send them next year. So it was a great experience to see that the knowledge that was imparted to me by some of the greatest musicians on the planet was being used by generations of New Orleans musicians. And by them having bands, and they were also teaching others. So have this lineage, really what I call an ancient lineage, because New Orleans is tied to antiquity because of Congo Square. See this ancient lineage being put into force and so many life forces, and to know that it's going to continue.
Those ripples keep going.
Yeah, they keep going. It's I know I had some kind of little small part to do with that. It enriches my heart. Even Diesel, he's also teaching new producers out of a system that we put together, but he says I put it together to move production and having a bigger understanding of music on the commercial side that he had. I call Diesel money in the bank as far as his production, because I know it's going to be right. You know, I can leave it with him. In the beginning, we had to work on it. Like, no, Diesel, no, let's do it like this. But I don't have to tell him nothing. Now he tells me stuff.
That's when you know it's really working.
Yeah, so give him a round of applause. Yeah.
All right, Diesel. So that TIPS intern program has been a resounding success.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not here anymore. But we're over at the Louis Armstrong summer camp, and
You're the music director there now.
I am, yeah, and I'm happy that I think that we have the first summer camp, jazz summer camp, that's embracing all of the music we had a great producer, Black and Mild, there last year, and Diesel was also there. You were the artist in residence, right? Mm-hmm. He was an artist in residence, and so they were teaching production skills and music as well. It's a well-rounded approach, because you can't ignore the present. Mm-hmm. If you ignore the times that you live in, then you're not like Charlie Parker, who embraced everything that was around him. There's even a recording. There was something in his day called Jive Talk Records. And Jive Talk Records was like very similar to the hip hop of these times. And Charlie Parker's on a Jive Talk record, and he's actually talking jive. So he was rapping. Charlie Parker was rapping on a record too. Charlie Parker played the blues, which was commercial music during his day, and it was sort of shunned by some people. He did a recording, a great record that's some of the most difficult music in the world, called Charlie Parker with Strings, and he was lambasted for that, for playing commercial music. But it's really, really difficult music, because I've played that music on a number of occasions, and I know how difficult it is. And he's just soaring through it and playing some of the greatest saxophone you'll ever hear. So he's what I call an inclusive musician. And my idea about being inclusive, when you include, you become exclusive, because you have so many things inside of your sound. It makes you have a different take on things. When you're exclusive and exclude, you just have the same sound. It's like 1 + 1 is always going to equal 2. But when you start adding different calculations in there, you're going to come up with a different answer. And the greatest musicians like Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, and Miles Davis, they have many elements to the fabric of who they are.
You do as well. And it has been recognized by such as NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts, has named Mr. Donald Harrison an NEA Jazz Master for his jazz advocacy. That was in 2022. And 2021, he received an honorary doctorate from Berkeley School of Music in the Boston area, and has many other awards and honors that he has earned, richly deserving. And it's been a great pleasure to have you here with these wonderful musicians. How about one more tune before we go?
Thank you. It's been an honor to talk to you, Fred, because Mr. Kasten is one of the most astute musicologists that I know, and if you get a chance to listen to him on the radio, don't miss it, because he has a warm and soothing voice, and he tells the story of the music like no other. So I know you don't usually do this, but I'm going to say give the host a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great chief indeed. Mr. Donald Harrison, ladies and gentlemen, and his colleagues in the Multiverse Quintet.
Thank you so much for coming to the New Orleans Jazz Museum. Thank you from the National Park for New Orleans Jazz Service. We are supporting this incredible music. Thank you for coming. We have programs like this every day at 2 p.m. And come down to our visitor center at 419 Decatur Street, where you can find out many more of these programs. Thank you to Fred Kasten and Donald Harrison, everybody. Thank you so much.